Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Unpopular Review AEW edition. I am the executive consultant, joined by your normal host today, the sheriff.
Hi.
So dry. You must have seen AEW Dynamite tonight, huh?
Listen, it's the no CM Punk effect.
Hey, we might talk about CM Punk a little bit later, but for now,
I
let's
hope
go.
we do.
I am interested to hear your thoughts when it comes to one Phil
You don't
Brooks.
want to hear my thoughts, like John Moxley said. You don't want to know what I think.
Why not? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it a little bit later. Let's start it right into it. First thing we're going to talk about is the Continental Classic Gold League match. It is Jay Lethal versus John Moxley. I think there's no surprise here. John Moxley picks up the victory over Jay Lethal, who I would like to see pick up a victory in this round robin tournament, but it's not looking very likely. They find him to be a good hand, but more of an enhancement talent at times. And, going up against John Moxley, that chance of him taking that W is going to be very rare. What are your thoughts when it comes to this match?
For sure, yeah. I actually spoke with a friend about this match, about how long Jay Lethal has just been not only wrestling, but wrestling at a high level. It seems like my whole time that I've been a wrestling fan, Jay Lethal has been doing his thing. It would have been nice to see him get a win at some point, but I mean, it's John Moxley. Like you said, there's no everybody falls at the hand of John. I'm sorry. It's big match John over here.
Big match, John. Orange Cassidy will dispute that. It's Orange Cassidy defeated him a couple weeks ago
Big
at
match
Full
Orange.
Gear. Big match, John. Do you see John Moxley picking up the victory over everybody in this?
I honestly, well, even though I know that we're going to talk about the main event a little bit later, I want to see some more wins for Jay White. That's just me.
Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston next. How do you think that match is going to go?
I want to say, Willie says Swerve House, exactly, just to be clear. I want to say, Danielson, but his injury is a shoe injury. So I don't know if they really are going to rely on that. And I know that they're investing a lot in Eddie Kingston right now. So there's a possibility that, Ryan puts him over.
We'll see. I don't see that happening, even though technically the titles that are on the line are both Eddie Kingston. So you would think they would give him a few more victories, but we'll see how it goes. Stings. Final match is apparently going to be in Greensboro, South Carolina. That's where Revolution is going to take place on March 3rd. Are you going to be there for that?
Probably not, no.
You don't want to see Sting's final match?
I would love to, but do I want to travel to Greensboro, North Carolina specifically to see that? Probably not.
South Carolina.
Even worse, I'll probably be at the comfort of my home in New York City, watching that on TV.
If you win, I would have won. I don't really travel for AEW, but I do travel for the party. South Carolina is not exactly a place I like.
I'll tell you this. Royal Rumble might be a go. That's in Tampa, right? Or near Tampa?
Oh, now Royal Rumble's ago? Didn't I tell you to tell me that a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, and then I looked at stuff, and stop! No! See, this is how we're doing this. No Bryan Danielson slander will be tolerated.
You want to actually travel to South Carolina, Steeman, for AEW, All Elite Wrestling? I'm a fan of AEW lately, but I don't know if I'll go to South Carolina for it.
Honestly, if it was because I was in North Carolina for Thanksgiving. I like North Carolina. Quiet as kept. South Carolina, I don't know. I'm not going to go. No. That's, even that's too much for me. Too much Carolina. Florida, maybe.
Yeah, Florida, maybe. He said, hey, Royal Rumble, if you are, let us know. Come on down. Next match we're going to talk about is Mark Briscoe and Rush in another AEW Continental Classic. Rush, I should say. I don't know. Mark Briscoe doesn't look like he's going to pick up any W's in this tournament. What do you think?
Yeah, so I really liked the commentary from Danielson on this because he made it feel like a lot bigger than because like you said, I was actually kind of surprised to see Rush win. I thought that they would give it to Briscoe, but yeah, it's not looking good for him in this tournament, him or Lethal, to be honest with you. But it is what it is. I don't see other than winning it anyways.
No, I don't see either one winning, but I do. Rich took a L in his first match, so I
I
was
have seen.
actually interested in seeing him pick up a victory because the way they present him sometimes seems to be, I don't want to say unstoppable, but they want to make him seem like a threat and a monster. To do that, he needs to pick up more victories, and losing your first one is not good. Mark Briscoe, they have a lot of respect for. You can see that they have a lot of respect for him,
Mhm.
but they also have him take a lot of L's too because they're not sure if he's that guy to really push in this tournament. But we will see because he's extremely, extremely popular.
For sure. And Hassan, hi. My Black Friday was good. I did some shopping at Banana Republic. Good stuff.
My Black Friday was okay. I didn't do anything. Um, let's talk about it. Tony Storm, lover, best thing of AEW Dynamite, in my opinion. One of the best things of AEW Dynamite. She says a lot of things that just is entertaining. She doesn't say much, but she says a lot of things that are entertaining. Tony Storm is going to have, in my opinion, the best AEW Women's World Championship run since DMD. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. She this interview was interesting because it was like with her legs up and stuff like that. But I mean, she's a star. Like, I like her character a lot. It's yeah. Since DMD, well, Hater, that wasn't really fair. She got hurt. Thunder Rosa, a lot of things happened there. Well, yeah.
She wasn't an entertaining champion. She's a solid worker. Don't get me wrong. Very solid worker. She wasn't an entertaining champion. I'm not sure that was because of booking, but she wasn't an entertaining champion. It's
They
been
got
about a
away
year since she's
from
been there.
with her run. They got away from what made her popular. Anyway, because I remember Thunder Rosa, there was a lot of hype around her winning the title from Britt, and she would come out. She would have dark matches a lot before she won the title. She would come out. She would get probably the biggest reaction live when I was there. When I would see her when she would come out in dark matches. But I think they got away from what made her popular in the first place. They tried to. They almost tried to book her the way that they booked Britt. They tried to make it like really promo heavy and character heavy, but that's not really what made her popular in the first place. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I can tend to agree with that statement. But Tony Storm still your champion. Maxwell Jacob Freeman comes out walking with a cane, putting over Samoa Joe before throwing that WWE reference out there. I said this last week. Unfortunately, you weren't able to join us last week, but I said this last week. He might want to watch it when it comes to promos with Samoa Joe because not a lot of people have time for MJF. Samoa Joe, I think, can really kill him on the microphone. But what are your thoughts?
Is that true? Well, actually, Samoa Joe could kill anyone on the microphone, 100%.
Almost.
But would it be in the way that he would have to be afraid? I don't know about that. I think that Samoa Joe respects MJF. And I think MJF respects Samoa Joe. Actually, even though I know he stays in character and he's a heel-ish figure, even though he's a face right now, MJF is actually very well liked in the business and by fans, etc. I think that whatever was to be said, they would it would be something that they agreed upon, and it would be good. It would be good business. It would be good work. And I think he did a good job of bigging up Joe the way that he does. MJF can get a little bit long-winded with these, like, back in my day or when I was a kid, but he kept it really tight here. I liked that. And it did what it had to do. I think that because this is a shoot injury with his shoulder, and this is probably, there's never a good time for an injury, but this is a little bit of a good time because Joe is ready. You can have Joe beat MJF for the title. I kind of, the first time they fought, I was like, I wouldn't be mad if MJF lost here and lost the title. I know that they
But
were.
you knew he wasn't, right?
I knew he wasn't, yeah, but I wouldn't have been mad. It's like when Ruby Soho was facing Britt that first time around. There was so much hype where I was like, if they did the title turn, I would not be mad. But I knew that wasn't happening. And Cole is still hurt. We don't know if he's a devil or not. We don't know. There's just a lot up in the air, and with an injury like this, I say finish it all. Let Joe win. You want to big up Joe because if he's going to be your next champion, you want fans to really care and invest. I think that's what he was doing. MJF was also throwing shots at CM Punk. I don't know if anyone else caught that, which surprised me. I didn't think that he would really. I didn't think that they would be that like on the nose with it, but
Really?
yeah, when he
Have you
was
seen Tony Khan in action?
Tony Khan says that I can't talk about that legally about everything. What'd you have for breakfast this morning? I appreciate your question. We're gonna have a great show tonight on AEW Collision. We can't talk about that.
Yeah, a few people I know that was in press conferences with this stuff get very frustrated with Mr. Khan because it's like,
let's be real. Nothing he said when Tony speaks, it's not typically good. We've seen that. So I mean, it's probably better he says nothing at all.
he does happen to open mouth, insert foot a lot. The Devil and his goons pretty much made it opinions. They held MJF back before Samoa Joe makes a save, trying to give some of that. Is he not the Devil? They technically didn't attack him. So, where do you think this is going? Do you have any idea yet?
Well, I never thought Joe was the Devil. I don't think that that's the case. There's obviously Adam Cole. That's an obvious possibility. That's a little bit difficult due to the double injury. They're working around 2 injuries in this storyline. Goodness gracious. Tony Khan being the Devil is a possibility. I think fans would hate that.
They would hate that. It's me, Austin. They would hate that.
Fans would hate that. I wouldn't hate that. I think that would make sense, but I know that I don't think Tony could pull it off. I don't think he's a Vince in that way. And then also fans would hate that. And then there's Jack Perry. I would like that. If it was Jack Perry, that would be interesting. Some people were saying, I think I mentioned it before, Ryan Nemeth or Dolph Ziggler. I wouldn't care for that.
That would be also a letdown. It has to be Adam Cole or MJF, I think, in order for it not to be a letdown.
Adam Cole, or if it's MJF, that's a letdown.
I don't think it's a letdown with MJF. I think it would be disappointing because it's set up perfectly for it to be Adam Cole. But the fact that MJF swerved everybody like that.
MJF has too much goodwill right now for that to be, especially if he's going to go out like hurt. Let's say that was the initial plan. If he's going to actually be hurt for a while, no, don't do that. Let the Devil cost him the title, and then let the Devil be Adam Cole or Jack Perry or, God forbid, Dolph Ziggler, whoever. That's just
Dolph Ziggler. Come on.
Some people, that's a theory that people have.
Yeah, but that would be a letdown.
100. Yeah. God forbid. I don't want that to be the case, but I don't want it to be MJF either. That's me personally. Also, again, I have to bring it back up. MJF is probably one of, if not the most talented person in the business. He can be a face. He can be a heel. I said it years ago. Roman Reigns cannot. That is why MJF is more money than Roman Reigns, because he's more versatile. That's just me. I don't want that to go flush down the toilet where they make him the Devil and then like all that goodwill he built up as a babyface is just kaput. I think his character needs to be a man of his word in this way. That's just me.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have more AEW Dynamite to talk about. Stay with us. You are watching Unpopular Review.
MJF versus Danny Garcia. Listen, Danny Garcia will forever be funny, but no. Sorry. Give me Alex Wright. Das Wunderkind over all day of the week. I said it. Alex Wright over Daniel Garcia. MJF wins this match.
Disco fever, disco fever. Yeah.
All right, we are back with what is it?
Daniel Garcia slander? This is what we doing now?
I don't know if that's Daniel Garcia slander, more along the lines of praise for one. You know, you weren't around during that time.
Is that a WCW guy?
Yeah, Alex Wright.
I vaguely heard of him. There's no possible way that he's better than Danny Garcia, even though I don't know. I'm just saying it. I'm calling it.
Did you not see the? His moves are better, as opposed to that.
Wardlow.
You know, or you let Tony Khan dance. I'll never get over that Tony Khan.
Oh gosh, yeah. We don't
He
speak
just
about
look
that.
like unless he paid for it, he's definitely a virgin. Anyway, AR Fox versus Wardlow. This is a squash match. This is all Wardlow's matches. He comes out there, he dominates somebody. Wardlow is going after MJF soon. I don't think MJF is losing that. This is what I'm saying. I don't see MJF losing that championship until he gets a piece of Wardlow.
He's hurt.
What does that mean?
MJF, he doesn't really have much time.
He'll be ready by World's End. He's not going to have a match before that, but he'll be ready by World's End.
For sure. I just mean that with Wardlow, to play that story out, unfortunately, I think they're going to have to rush it.
Perhaps. Charmaine says Daniel Garcia is whack and he can't dance.
What is this?
You know, I'm not the biggest fan of Daniel Garcia myself. I want to like him, but he doesn't do it for me.
It's never mind. I'm ganged up. Daniel Garcia, I'm sorry, bro. I like the long hair on Wardlow, by the way.
Okay. Shorter hair is better for him, more intimidating. But, you know, long hair is fine. He's just preparing. He's trying to figure out a new look so he can get his groove back, so to speak. Action Andretti and Top Flight versus Brother Zay and the Hardy Boys. The Hardy Boys making a rare Dynamite appearance for once. What are your thoughts when it comes to this match?
Yeah, this was interesting. Each brother tag team had an extra with them. I like Private Party. I wish we could see more of them, but it is what it is. I was, I guess, surprised to see Top Flight win, but then again, I shouldn't be because, I mean, it's the Hardys. They're a legacy act at this point. Top Flight is the future for their division. So it's nice to see, I guess, them getting a win.
Let me ask you this, because Bad Guy Jack and I were talking offline one day, and we were talking about the Hardys and their standing at AEW. Do you think that it's been a waste?
Has it been a waste? It depends.
Mhm.
I think that a lot of moments it's specifically Matt Hardy. They haven't really done a lot with Jeff in general, but specifically Matt Hardy, especially when he was first coming in, there was a lot of hype because he was supposed to be teaming with the Elite, and they were finally going to do that blow off match with Inner Circle and the Elite, and that was probably their biggest angle at the time. And then COVID hit, so waste.
Well, he debuted during COVID.
Yeah, but they had it planned, and then he debuted to an empty building because, yeah. So, and so that was supposed to be his big reveal that he was going to be their teammate in that match. COVID hit. He debuts to an empty building. Waste. You don't get to have that pop. I forget who he was facing. Oh, I think he was facing Sammy Guevara, and he falls off the ladder, hits his head. And as good as that match was, it was completely overshadowed by that spot because everybody was like, "What the fuck?" So, waste. The big money match stuff, I like Private Party. I was hoping they could get. I didn't dislike the big money match stuff, though I know a lot of people did. So in that way, waste. And it didn't really do much for Private Party in that way.
It was a significant character change for him, which I think a lot of people didn't like. They were like, all this time you weren't acting like this, and now all of a sudden you are acting like this. It's a little bit of a strange thing. But
It was
JBL did the
random
same thing.
in AEW. It was random in AEW. He has done a similar gimmick like outside of the company before, but it was because he came in as Broken Matt, and then out of nowhere he's Big Money Matt. So it was a bit of a whiplash.
Broken Matt definitely ran its course. I think he still wanted to get some legs out of it. He did the same thing in WWE. It ran its course. If he came in immediately as Broken, I think it would have worked in WWE. I think it would have worked, but they couldn't do it immediately. And by the time they could, it was pretty much dead in the water. Only reason I'm going to ask you that is because I believe that they're I wouldn't say necessarily a waste. I would say from their aspect, it might be a disappointment. One, because like I said, this is a rare Dynamite appearance, and then they lost. But I remember when both of them left, they both left because they feel like they still can go and they still feel like they could do better and they still feel like they could contribute in the ring. Jeff Hardy actually felt like he still had another title run in him because they were setting him up to face the tribal chief, but he was going to lose.
He was going to lose, yeah.
They're going to fade him out. And he was like, I feel like I have another title run. I feel like I can do it. So he came in with such fanfare, but then he had that issue and he had to go to rehab. And I think they've lost a lot of trust, I'll say, in him. So they only put him out there as that legacy act. But I'm just saying, if you really think about it, where they were when they both left WWE, and personally, I think Jeff Hardy was in better standing. I think they're right back down there with AEW now. And I don't think that's what they wanted to accomplish. But even right here, they lost. I mean, granted, neither one of them got pinned, but they lost the match. You come out, and most time they come out on Rampage, their treasury show, and they lost. But yeah, Action Andrade and Top Flight picks up the victory. Renee Paquette, the remarkable Renee Paquette, tries to interview Action Andrade and Top Flight, but they're interrupted by Penta and as well as Commander and Hideo Aquino because what's his face down there at the bottom over there next to Penta is still injured. Your thoughts when it's a possible trios feud?
Yeah, they challenged Top Flight, right?
Top Flight and Action Andrade. You said there's 3 of y'all and there's 3 of us.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Why not? I mean, they're I guess you could say like they're the measuring stick at this point, especially Penta, having been working in the tag division since pretty much the beginning of AEW. They're former champions. I think this is, and we're in trios right now. I think this is a good feud to do, especially if the you got the young guys who are getting their reps in. They're facing, I guess, veterans or established names. If Top Flight is going to continue getting wins, and ascending. Sorry, Top Flight and Andretti. Sorry, Andretti. I know I'm leaving you out a lot, but you are kind of, anyways. And so you got to have them infused like this and getting wins. So fair enough.
Let's move on. Next thing we want to talk about is Julia Hart versus Emi Sakura for the TBS Championship. I'm still a little surprised that Julia Hart is your TBS champion. I really felt like Chris Statlander was going to retain it at Full Gear, and she didn't. But Julia Hart has definitely improved over the years, so I can see why one might think she deserves it. She picks up the victory here off of Moonsault, retains her TBS championship. I don't want to say how do you judge her TBS championship so far, her run so far, because it's only been a couple weeks. But do you think that she's in the right spot, in the right place to make this work?
100%, just based on how we've worked with, or how they've worked with the TBS titles from Jump, with it basically being the Jade Cargill title for, 2 years? You have someone that you're really trying to build their name so that they can transition to the main world title for the women. I think Chris Statlander's already in that position. Chris Statlander is pretty established. Mm-hmm. I think it was kind of not that it's a waste to have the TBS title on her. I just don't think it does anything for her. I think she needs to be working in higher profile angles and going towards the world title. I think that's her time. So I think Julia Hart is somebody that they really want to invest in, which is smart. One thing that AEW does a good job of that I always liked, they tend to really trust their young guys and their up and comers. Give them screen time, give them the ball, let them run with it. Because how else are you going to get better? You got to give them the ball, you got to let them run so they can learn. Julia Hart, if they really want to make her a top star in the division, they have to start treating her like one at some point. She's been in the company years at this point. She's been with the Varsity Blondes. She's got this new gimmick. She was with House of Black. You gotta pull the trigger at some point. So they're like, why not now? People like her gimmick. It's early. We need her to learn. So yeah.
There was a time where that TBS championship, in my opinion, and once again, I believe I said this last week, was the most important women's championship in All Elite Wrestling. Obviously, that's when Jade Cargill had it. I think it took a step down when Chris Statlander had it. Not saying that she was bad, but it definitely was not on the same level. Do you think Julia Hart can bring it back to where Jade Cargill had it, or do you think it's going to stay that secondary title?
It's going to stay a secondary title. What I think Julia Hart can do more than Statlander can do is I think she can make people more interested in the title.
Right.
Not that people aren't interested in Chris Statlander. I don't think people are interested in Chris Statlander as a TBS champion. If Chris Statlander were in a program with, say, like Toni Storm for the world title, maybe. She does stuff with, I know, the Best Friends in Orange Cassidy, people like that. But as far as that division down there, that's not really for her. She's an established name. I think people are interested in the rise of Julia Hart. So they would be interested in her as a TBS champion. Similar to the way people were interested in the rise of Jade. So they were interested in her run.
Next thing we're going to talk about is Christian Cage coming out, ring full of security. Was this your favorite segment of the night?
Was it my favorite one? No. I can say it because it's already passed, but my favorite was the MJF one. But.
Okay, well, he comes out. Christian's playing his little mind games. He calls Edge out, and I'm always going to call him Edge. Sorry. But he calls Edge out, says, hey, this is the deal. You know, I was thinking about your mom passing, said she wanted us to be tag team again. And I'm thinking about doing it, try to lure Edge in. Edge acts like he thinks about it for a while Christian tries to hit him with the championship, gets kneed right in the nads. And then Edge pretty much tells him, go fuck yourself, you know, as a revenge for when Christian said it all that time ago, which actually go viral. What is your opinion when it comes to this segment? Are you excited to see Christian versus Edge for that TNT championship, that secondary or treasury? I don't know what the ranking is anymore, AEW men's championships. But are you excited to see it next week in Montreal?
I am excited to see Christian beat Adam Copeland because I think Christian has a world title run left in him, and it would be such a shame for Adam Copeland to come in and dead that momentum. And I think that a win over him would do wonders for that momentum going forward. So I'm excited for that. It was funny when they tried to bleep the go fuck yourself, but they just ended up bleeping everything afterwards, so it defeated the purpose. Still working on the bleeps, AEW, I see it. But yeah, nice segment. I am excited.
Well, you think they would be a little bit more, have more practice at this point? Especially when you have MJF on screen. MJF is always swearing.
Yeah. Well, maybe because it's TV14, they're like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm like, then why try to bleep anyways? But it is what it is. Willie says, Daniel Garcia, the best dance in professional wrestling. See, we love to see it. We love to read it.
He has the best dance in professional wrestling now? No, it's actually Prince Nana has the best dance in professional wrestling now. Swerve. Swerve. Swerve.
The best dance of all time in wrestling.
Nana has the best dance of all time is probably Too Cool and Rikishi.
I was gonna say Eddie.
Yeah, it's still over.
Does that count though? But
that's a little shimmy, you know. Right now, I would say but right now I'll say Prince Nana. I'll also have to give it to Zawa.
I forgot. I had to think for a second. Fair enough, I guess.
I mean, it doesn't matter. They're all entertaining to some point, at some point. Love to see it. Christian Edge next week for the TNT Championship. It's interesting to see them go after a secondary or tertiary title. Like I said, I don't know the rankings. But we'll see. It's going to be a good match. I don't know how to call it. I want to say Christian picks up the victory. He should pick up the victory, but I told you how I feel about Edge and this stuff, man. I don't know.
Man.
Edge has been dominating and running over everybody. I don't know, man.
Big match, Adam.
We'll see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some AEW main event time. Another Continental Classic Gold League match. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Unpopular review.
Next segment we have Wesley, the greatest North American champion. Yes, I said it there. Executive consultant. There we go. Let's get that a little louder. Whoop, whoop, whoop. The greatest North American champion. He talks about his taking away his time away. He talks about finding himself as when he was champion, and he would do anything to win back that North American championship. He talks about the Judgment Day. always having Dom's back, and the only reason why Dom is still champion is because of Judgment Day. He also says Judgment Day. I always laugh when everyone keeps saying the Judgment Day have all the titles. No, they don't. They legitimately do not have all the titles.
They don't.
They legitimately do
They
not
only
have all.
Undisputed Tag Team Championship belt, the Women's Championship, and the NXT North American Championship belt. They don't have the Undisputed Championship belt,
Yeah.
the Continental Championship, the United States Championship. They don't have the NXT Championship, the NXT Women's Championship.
Go ahead, keep naming them. Keep naming them. Keep naming them. Because even the Bloodline that we have.
The ones that I could name now are retired.
Fantastic. But it's in there. But he says these things. He says that then Dominic comes out. He says
the
you want.
worst NXT North American champion we've ever had.
There we go. You heard that with the. She said the worst.
And the one who wins the same way that Roman wins about 80% of the time, with cheating and interference, because Dominic can't win by his damn self.
That's right, Wrestling Doll. That's right. You hear that? He can't win it on his own.
Universal Pictures presents everything you always wanted to do in high school with everyone you always wanted to do it with. They're the students of Ridgemont High. Brad Hamilton, the fast food king. Charles Jefferson, a man with a mission. Linda Barrett, not exactly the girl next door. See Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
That movie review is tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. or 9 o'clock p.m. 9 o'clock p.m. Into our I love the 80s month. You wouldn't know nothing about it, but I love the 80s month. That's the last one we're going to talk about. And of course, the NXT review show immediately after NXT with Bad Guy Jack, as well as Dahlia Doc, aka the Wrestling Doll. But you're watching Unpopular Review Wrestling, AEW edition with the exec consultant, joined today by Sheriff. Please make sure that you like, love, and share this to all of your wrestling timelines groups. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Main event time. And for once, I agree with the choice of the main event for AEW. Jay White, Switchblade versus Swerve Strickland. Both of them picked up victories last week. Have to put it on the line this week. Excellent matches. You knew these two would have an excellent match because we're talking about Jay White. We're talking about Swerve. Swerve, arguably one of the most up-and-coming superstars in wrestling right now. And then you have Jay White, who has a lot of hype behind him. But I think, especially since he took the L, let's be real, tonight, his stock is going down. What are your thoughts when it comes to this match, and what are your thoughts when it comes to these two individually?
His stock is going down. Hopefully they can find a spot for him where he can gain some momentum. But Swerve is on his way to being the first AEW World Champion. He's on his way. I'm glad that he's
African American World Champion, you mean?
What did I say?
AEW World Champion, like there's never been one.
Oh, the first African American AEW World Champion. There we go. I omitted 2 words. Yeah. I think so. I think that and he did an interview recently where he said as much that is his goal. He says, I want to be the first Black AEW World Champion, and I think that they're gearing him up for that. I think Joe is next. I said that earlier. Joe or Cole, if that injury is a work. Joe or Cole, but with the injury to MJF, I think it'll be Joe. But yeah, this is just the next step in that. I think Swerve is gaining momentum. As much as I like Switchblade Jay White, if I had to pick one, I'm picking Swerve. This was a good matchup because these are two people who are probably having the most momentum, especially with Switchblade coming off a world title match. Even though he did lose, he has pinned the world champion before. And so these two, this was a good main event. These two head-to-head. Who's next? Maybe I'm next. No, maybe it's me. So then, they duke it out, and the right person won.
Shane Strickland wins. Is it the right call? We'll see. Shane Swerve Strickland is definitely a favorite going into this. I have a feeling we're looking at the finals of Swerve and Jon Moxley.
I would say the same.
And if Jon Moxley takes the L in that one, then yeah, Swerve is on his way to winning a world championship sometime in the not too distant future. Not immediate, but in the not too distant future. And I wouldn't say I'll be upset with it. He has the capabilities of being the first ever African American AEW world champion, because I don't see any other African American that's anywhere near close to being it, except maybe Powerhouse Hobbs.
Ricky Starks.
Ricky Starks, I think, is going to WWE.
I saw he was with Jade earlier.
Yeah, that was in the Nightmare Factory in Atlanta. But I definitely believe that Ricky Starks was actually respected CM Punk. He's really good friends with Cody Rhodes. I see him going to WWE.
Do you see him what do you see him doing in WWE realistically?
I'm not saying it's going to be a good move. WWE, just like I talk about AEW, I think both of these companies, in my opinion, I know nobody's going to agree, but I think both of these companies right now are suffering for the fact that they have too much talent. And it's hard. And WWE has 3 different freaking brands, but it's hard to put all these talents on these shows, these 2-hour and 3-hour shows, and showcase all of them in a positive light. Mm-hmm. As a booker and a businessman, and I respect the hell out of Ricky Starks. I do. Okay. But if I sign Ricky Starks and I have to say the talent of Monday Night Raw, I don't know if I really have a spot for him over Cody Rhodes, a main event Jey Uso, a Seth freaking Rollins, a CM Punk now. You know what I'm saying? Those are just the baby faces. We're not even talking about the collective unit of the Judgment Day, the Miz, Gunther. You know, they just so, and that's just the men also. So overloaded with talent. Do I have a spot for Ricky Starks when I already have a Johnny Gargano, a Tommaso Ciampa, a Creep Up? It's tough. So if I were to get a Ricky Starks, and some people might think this is a slap in the face, I would send him right down to NXT. I think he could be a big player in NXT, build his brand up a little bit more, because even though he did come from AEW, there's still a lot of WWE audience who don't know this guy and won't respect this guy. But if he shines like he's been doing lately in AEW and NXT, then you can slide him over to Raw or SmackDown in a better position. If I was him.
I agree with that.
All right. Let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, the big news of the week. I was there for it in Chicago. And I remember, and I was saying this in the chat room, I was like, hey, these people keep chanting CM Punk. Since I got to that arena, and I walked, and my hotel was right there. Since I got to that arena, they were chanting CM Punk in the parking lot. When we got there, an hour before the event started, they were chanting CM Punk. And I kept looking at these people like they were pushing me. I swear down that CM Punk was not there. I would have betted money that CM Punk was not there. Randy Orton came out, all this. So I was like, oh, yeah, CM Punk is not coming. Not coming. They hit the swerve with the us thinking that it was over. I didn't even see the little copyright thing because, like I said, I was there. But you thought it was over. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Cult of Personality plays. Incredible moment. Definitely one of my top returns I've been involved in. I won't say it's the top, but it's definitely in the top 3 or 5. I'll probably put it at number 2, right behind Brock Lesnar SummerSlam 2021, because that was just great. But it was definitely a big thing and exciting. But what do you think about CM Punk's return and the subsequent promo segment he had on Monday Night Raw? And are you happy that he's back in WWE? I know how you feel about the E, but overall, you back in WWE? Would you rather him stay in All Elite Wrestling? And hey, while you're talking about it, because I do want to hear your thoughts on that. Hey, this thing that Stephen Willie Bemis said about Bryan Danielson and the rumor that he was part of the committee that had CM Punk terminated. Do you think it was a good move? I want to hear everything, Sheriff, before we close out.
I almost forgot about that Bryan Danielson thing. Punk going back to WWE, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no way that it's hypocritical. There's no other way to really, really flip it. The man, he had no other choice. Where else was he going to go? And he wants his money. He said himself, I'm here to make money, not friends. That's fair enough. Do I think he should have stayed in AEW? Absolutely not. It was not possible. He assaulted his coworkers, man, was wilding out. I said it before, there's no way you could have kept him. It's not possible. You could have, but it would have set a really bad precedent that if I'm Tony Khan and I like you enough and you're a draw, I don't care if you beat up everybody around you. That's not really how you got to do it. So did I think he should have stayed in AEW? No. Do I think he should have went to WWE? If he wants to keep wrestling, yes. I know that they said Impact made him a big money offer. That would have been fine too, but
that's actually where I wanted to see him go. I didn't want him back in WWE. I thought Impact was good. He could have went there, got a clean slate, made some money, and helped that brand, or TNA, helped that brand, because I'm a big fan of TNA as well. Him come back to WWE, I mean, yeah, I was excited. I marked out. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that something that's not true. I'm still excited. I'm excited to see where it can go, but I really didn't want him back because of his attitude in AEW, and some of it might have been justified. I was talking to Bad Guy Jack earlier this week, of course, offline, and I talked about it. I said, "What's up, Charmaine? How you doing?" I was like, "Hey, it's always important when you're dealing with anybody, whether you know them personally or not, always listen to what they're saying." And I go back to that media scrum that infamous media scrum when he came out there and said, "Hey, I work with fucking children." No offense to AEW. I like them better and I'm more entertained by them now than I ever have been, even though a lot of people have jumped ship. But you can see that the company is not ran at the most professional way. And CM Punk, I won't say grew up in WWE, but he was in WWE for quite a while. And there's a different structure that you have when it comes to how things are run. A lot of stuff that happened backstage at AEW that we know for sure happened, because some of it's speculation we don't know because we weren't there. We're not exactly sure. We're not exactly sure. Let me put it this way. We know that would not have happened in the WWE backstage area. You could have disagreements. You can have arguments. You probably wouldn't even have fisticuffs because that happens. But the level of friction that CM Punk was able to get away with when it came to the Elite and vice versa as EVPs, I don't think would have happened in WWE.
The Elite would be EVPs in WWE, but CM Punk was also an EVP. That was revealed too. He would not be an EVP in WWE. A lot of shit would not happen in WWE. When you said that certain things wouldn't happen, my initial reaction was like, eh. I'm like, we know all kinds of stuff that happened in WWE.
Oh, yeah, right.
All kinds of stuff. Like, we don't need to rehash. We know all kinds of stuff that happened in WWE. So I'm not going to say it couldn't happen. But when you put it that way, I get what you mean about like the dynamic between CM Punk and the EVPs and the Elite. Punk getting his own show because they couldn't coexist. That's not going to take place in WWE. I don't have a problem going back to WWE. It is the only thing I don't like is that I was a fan of Punk. I still am. I don't dislike the guy. There's nothing wrong with him, but it did ruin a lot of the mystique or a lot of the appeal of CM Punk, because a lot of the appeal was that he was a genuine guy. He believed his own hype a little bit, but that's self-belief is fine. He stood for what he believed in, stuff like that. And a lot of that, in hindsight, it's not as, it doesn't hit the same because of the things that he's done. And him going back to WWE is just one of those things. So that's the only thing that's a little bit disappointing about it. The Bryan Danielson thing, I know that Tony Khan did say that if something were to happen to him, he told his father that he wanted Bryan Danielson to essentially take his place as, I guess, the chairman or the owner in that kind of way. So clearly he thinks very highly of Danielson. I could tell that he is somebody that has more of a executive role beyond just being in the ring. And Bryan seems to be all in on AEW, as does MJF. Tony Khan has people who do believe in the company or are trying their best.
Yeah,
and not for nothing, I think CM Punk had good intentions when he was with AEW. I think that the Elite have good intentions with AEW, but not everybody. Tony Khan has to understand that not everybody's really, really good at the other side of things. I don't know. No. I'll say this. The Elite obviously are very, very, very much responsible for AEW being as successful as it is. So it wouldn't be fair of me to say that they're not good at that side of stuff. I'll say that there's an aspect of it that maybe they're not good at, and it's that maybe talent can feel as if they play favorites. Talent can feel as if it's a little cliquish. Like back in the day, the Clique, they were pretty much running stuff in WWE back in the day. Even though the Clique were very, very popular stars and they were responsible for a lot of the company's success, there was an aspect of it they weren't good at. I think the Elite are in that same way. So overall, I don't dislike Punk going back to WWE. That's fine. It's his career, his life. I did dislike what he said. I disliked the promo. The promo was lackluster, anticlimactic, and it was insulting to my intelligence.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, I'm home. Sir, no, you're not. You don't want to be there. You didn't want to be there. Well, you have no choice. and it is what it is. You didn't want to be there. You are now, and that's fine. But you can come up with a better story. Like, what is or maybe he can't. Maybe there's NDAs in place and he can't say what he really wants to say. The promo was really whack.
I think they definitely. I look at a few things that WWE I think intentionally did. One, they saved him for last, which was smart, and then two, they gave him about 6 minutes of time to talk. 6 minutes of time, not 15 or 20 like they would have normally did for something like that. They gave him 6 minutes of time to talk because I think they were really monitoring. As I've said before, if I'm going to bring CM Punk back as a business owner, I'm going to bring him back and I'm going to let him know the understanding. This is probation. We're going to see what you do. I bet you there's some clauses in that contract, some out clauses. If you do this, if you do that, because you have a reputation, even though I want to believe that you're a different person, like I said in the press conference, and that we're different people, we still have to protect our business. And I always mention how I think AEW can do so much better if the person who's leading the ship, which let's be real, is Tony Khan, matured up a little bit and really, and I can't say anything about the man's a billionaire. I ain't got shit. He's a man's a billionaire, right? But sometimes I feel like he holds his company back from doing better than it actually could do. One, by making terrible decisions, terrible signings, terrible announcements. And then I talk about their press conference, which they call a media scrum. The media scrum to the press conference. If you look at the presentation of the media scrum as opposed to a press conference, that also tells you a lot about your business, right? You have the Triple H coming out there. Nobody's really cursing, right? Some things slip up, but nobody's really cursing. It's very professional. It's very structured. It's very to the point, even though people come out there and they are in character at times. Then you look at AEW's thing. Tony Khan, a little coked up. Let's just be real, okay? But he's a little coked up. He is. You doubt it? You disagree?
I don't think he's coked up at the media scrum, though. No, not at the media scrum.
So you don't think?
No, I think that's how he is.
Always high strung.
I think he's high strung here because he was upset. But
Okay.
I think that
I'll give you that.
He's an eccentric guy.
Him coming out being eccentric, and then him allowing MJF or CM Punk or whoever to come out, and every other word they saying is an expletive, right? It's just a structure. I was watching CM Punk's interview at that media scrum, and he was talking about Hangman Adam Page, and when he was talking about Hangman Adam Page, Tony Khan's over there looking like he agrees with him. Then later he acts like he doesn't. Like I don't understand. And it's the matter of, are you getting that respect from your people that you're hiring in order to get that line? And I feel like once Tony Khan gets that respect, his company can go right back to where it was, a solid number two. That's a respectable number two. Right now, there are a lot of people look at him as a joke. And that's because of Tony Khan. And it doesn't need to be a joke because they have so much talent and so many things going for them. Like I said before, earlier tonight, I'll say it again. I'm enjoying AEW more now than I ever have been because of the amount of talent and the amount of wrestling they're giving. There's also one more thing I want to talk about, and we're going to go ahead and close it out. There are rumors going around that AEW, one of the reasons why QT Marshall left is because they're focusing more on in-ring athleticism as opposed to storyline talent in that match. Do you agree with this direction, if it's true, or do you think it's a bad move?
I don't agree with the framing of it. I think they said that they're gearing towards more of a New Japan pro wrestling style of booking, which is not devoid of storytelling. It's just a different type of storytelling. People like to do that. They like to pretend that you can either be a soap opera or you're GCW Bloodsport. Like, there is an in between. You can have a product that focuses on storytelling. This is actually something that Triple H has spoken about, because that was kind of a big part of his character. You can tell stories in the ring. You can tell stories about people as wrestlers. You can be a wrestler, and that is your character, as opposed to being a character that wrestles, if that makes sense. Like
It does.
Scotty 2 Hotty is a character that wrestles, right? Triple H was a wrestler who is a character, right? You can do that. I would say Bryan Danielson is a wrestler who's a character. I would say Kenny Omega is a wrestler who's a character. Not that there's anything wrong with being a character that wrestles. I think who's a big name that's a character that wrestles. I would say Hulk Hogan is a character that wrestles.
Wardlow.
Wardlow is a character that wrestles.
Mhm.
Okay. I think I see where you're going. I think I see where you're going with that. Fair enough. Yeah. And so not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think that they are leaning more so into because you think about the people they're investing right now, like Samoa Joe. That's a wrestler who's a character. Jay White, that's a wrestler who's a character. Swerve. Swerve is a bit of a tweener, actually. I would say MJF is more of a character than a wrestler, but I would say he's in between as well. He can definitely go. They're investing in people who, when we call on you, you're going to put on a good match, and people are going to be invested in your matches, because you have to get people invested in the matches. Like that's why they sell pay-per-views. That's why they're able to do that, because you can watch a show on Netflix if you want a character, but if I'm going to pay you $50 to watch this show, that's 3 hours of wrestling. I better care about those matches, and they better be good matches. That's one thing about AEW. They don't miss with their pay-per-views. If you give them $50, they're going to give you $50 worth of whatever the fuck. And the people that they're trusting have to be able to deliver that. So I don't think it's a bad move. I think it's what they were doing in the beginning. And I liked the energy of those shows better anyway. So
Interesting take. It's going to be interesting to see what goes on in the future of AEW Rampage and Collision coming up this week as we are on the road to World's End. This was the AEW Dynamite review show. What grade do you give this episode, Sheriff?
I want to say B+.
B. I'll give it a solid B. So, hey, it's a good episode. Interested to see the next step of AEW. Thank you so much for watching us here tonight. Please make sure that you watch all of our other products. NXT, Unpopular Wrestling show, which is on Saturdays. Mike Knox show on Mondays at 6 o'clock. As well as the UPRE, Unpopular Review Entertainment, on our YouTube channel of Unpopular Review Entertainment. We talk about some movies from the 80s and the next month, the 90s, as well as some TV shows. UPR Battles on Instagram coming up. Thank you so much for watching us here at Unpopular Review. Good night, everybody.